welcome back. Here we go. Saddle up to the bar with us, y'all. We're going to talk about Star Wars for a minute. Grant and Adam, how you doing, guys?
Bit turkeyed out,
yeah.
but I'm gonna make it to this pod.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get.
Yeah, how full are you both right now?
I'm very full.
Yeah, I'm getting by on like a strict diet of caffeine and alcohol, and it's getting me through. It's good to see you all after 2 straight days of gorging myself.
Agreed. I always
it's water. It's trough of water for myself.
Yeah.
Just like with Hopabore for Force Awakens, just drinking that trough of water constantly.
That's like
just gotta recycle.
It's like every morning for me. That's me. I'm a Hopabore in the trough.
It is such a drying meal. Like, it dries you out, and I realized, like, I came downstairs after putting my daughter to bed, and I poured myself like a 32-ounce bottle, and I just stood there and I drank the entire thing in one sitting. And my wife was just staring at me like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I guess I was thirsty." Yeah, it was literally like I didn't know.
The sodium intake alone,
gosh.
Thanksgiving. It's a but it was a great day. How was your Thanksgiving?
Yeah, man, I had 2. I just had back to back. I bet 36 straight hours of Thanksgivings. They were lovely. God bless Chandrilla.
There you go.
It's been interesting. A lot of catharsis. It was a good time.
I'm thankful for the Andor season 2 footage that I managed to glimpse from one of the D20 Disney summits somewhere. It was. Yeah.
I opened a fortune cookie today, and it said, "You will find joy in April," and I was like, "Oh, it's talking about Andor."
Oh, Andor season 2?
I didn't need a cookie mystic to tell me that.
Yeah. Well, I love my family and, all of that, but really it's Andor 2.
Andor season 2.
Andor season 2. Right? That's really all I'm thinking about.
Right on. We've got another show coming up, obviously, Skeleton Crew. And usually, week before Skeleton Crew or, any show, right, we'd go into sort of preview and what we know. And I don't want to do that. And I don't think any of us want to do that. So
no, not really.
I did see a trailer recently that was a lot. I saw a lot.
Oh, I'm so sorry for you.
I'm just a steady fan of just whatever I see, and then trailers of all types of big IP movies and things like that. And so it just came on, and I think it was during football or something. I was just I just watched it, and I was like, oh, I feel like I just watched the entire show. And I was a little worried because I was like, that was a lot. I got injected full Skeleton Crew, what that's going to be. And I got to say, I like what I saw. It was a lot of different species, humanoid species, a lot of Jude Law, action sort of moments where I was like, oh, this is going to be really fun. I can't wait to watch this. So even though it exposed a lot of the show, I really liked what I saw. So I think it'll be exciting to see it.
Yeah, super excited. Similar to Ben, I other than that first main preview I think we talked about on the pod, I've been lucky enough not to see too much of it. And as being the kind of the Instagrammer, which I should be doing more of this podcast, seeing all the. So Star Wars has actually been posting fan art made, which they don't normally do, and fan created posters. And there's one that's amazing. It's just a ripoff of E.T. of just the kids on speeders in front of a moon and X-wings flying across the moon. It just looks like E.T. And I'm just thank you. And the fact that they're leaning into the fact that this is an emblem just Star Wars is, I weirdly. Again, a show that I was yep, love Jude Law, give me a Star Wars, but I had no expectations for it. I'm a little worried with how excited I'm getting for this show.
Yeah.
I didn't realize I was going to get this excited, but I just want something kind of fun, just a fun Star Wars. Yeah, exactly.
Adventure tale, adventure storytelling. And an old-fashioned sort of adventure, right? It's going to feel like one of those old sci-fi serials.
Yeah. It is interesting that they sort of set up exactly what the feel of the show is going to be. There's no sort of questioning what this is. It's not shrouded in mystery.
Well, it's ordinary world, cosmic world, right?
Which,
I imagine. Yeah.
It's not something I feel like they've done before.
Right.
Lean more into the feel of a show as opposed to the premise of a show, right? I feel like it's always
I feel like Acolyte could have been anything coming out of the trailers for that. We just didn't.
Yeah.
They just kept us in the dark.
I feel like we did get a taste of, Amblin sort of characters in Book of Boba Fett with the mod crew on the mopeds. I was like,
Yeah,
this is,
no,
yeah, there's a little
honest to
ambush.
God,
This is
yeah,
very- yeah,
it,
it
it
was
was it was
American
very
graffiti, honestly.
it was like Lucas's other work showing
Yeah.
up in there, which is hey, got it, totally interesting take.
I was like, have we
Moving
seen
on.
bikes? Have we seen like kids on bikes before? I was like, the mods were kind of
Yeah,
that.
they were about as fast as pedal bicycles. So
Yeah.
It's like, we're coming for you.
Yeah.
right on. All right, so
Yeah.
what I wanted to do this week, it actually sprouted out of a conversation I had with strangers on Reddit. But it just got the old wheels turning.
Wait, you're having conversations with a stranger?
Are you
Listen,
okay, Ben?
I don't do it a lot.
every
but
episode it's me discovering something.
At this
Okay.
point, I've been on Reddit long enough now that I know how to pick my spots. And again, Star Wars Cantina, oddly enough,
You slide in, slide out.
Yeah, just slide in, slide out. Just like in a couple of conversations here or there that I'm like, I can actually add something to this conversation, and and I'll do something.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I don't know. I pick my spots, but Star Wars Cantina, our Star Wars Cantina is a very safe and positive subreddit for Star Wars. If you just like Star Wars, that's a place
great.
to go. So it's already a safe space, but beyond that, it's like I don't want to be engaged in conversations with strangers, but I'll drop a line here or there. But it was someone actually that I think made an argument that one or both of you have made in the past, and so I'm going to raise this question again. And
We may have not made this.
yeah,
argument,
well, we'll see.
but I'm excited to hear.
Yeah, we may not have. I don't know. It could. Yeah, I could definitely misremember. My brain
see.
is always going through hyperspace. So, how do you guys feel about as many Jedi as we've seen surviving the Purge? And when I say the Purge, I mean Order 66, and then the Purge, and then has not become an Inquisitor. Those people didn't survive. If you became Inquisitor and then switched back to the light side, that kind of counts, but there's a big fat asterisk on your name. But so, how do you feel about there being as many Jedi as there are that have survived the Purge?
Wait. I first need to know the details of this conversation with the other Redditor.
This person
about-
didn't like it. He's like, there's
context.
been like 100 people. It doesn't make sense. And I swear that you guys have made. And sorry, I made the bad noise, the voice, because that's
okay.
I think
this
I think
is
it's a
not
valid
worth your time.
argument.
It's not worth.
I think it's a valid argument, but I
Adam,
disagree.
Please.
Yeah, so this is me. This comes from me. I think I'll take ownership of this a little bit, because it is. I'm not as staunch as that person. It has, like many things to do with modern Star Wars, it breaks to my headcanon. And what I have to do with that is say, that's my headcanon. That is not what the creators chose to do. I need to let go of that and go with what they've done. And so I've been okay rectifying it. Here's the weird thing. How do I feel about it? I kind of like the idea in my head that there was like one last Jedi left in Luke. How do I feel about it when I think about it realistically in a galaxy far, far away with trillions upon people and
10,000
thousands Jedi?
Right?
Yeah, it makes sense that maybe like a dozen survived, right? Like
Yeah,
it makes
I
sense
think
to
it
me.
does.
So I've kind of gotten to that, like actually the logic part of my brain took
You've
over.
logicked
Like,
it
no,
down.
it actually makes sense.
Yeah, and
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm okay
And
with it.
I should add this
And
came from the conversation that people were talking about who Jadna Nawood, aka Jude Law's character, is he a Jedi or not? Like that was kind of the
Yeah.
overall.
Oh,
So
fascinating.
assuming,
Okay, I
the
like
valid
that.
and it was like,
Point.
do you,
We can definitely brush
like,
on
do you
that.
want him to be a Jedi or
Yeah.
do you not? And like he was like, I just feel like there's too many already. So sorry, I should have given.
It's one of the unturned rocks to me in Star Wars. Like there has to be a few nuggets of mystery, like Yoda's homeworld, like how many Jedi remain after the fall of the Jedi, right? Like how many remain? Probably a handful, and it's all veiled in secrecy. And I like that. And so I think you never break the mystery there. You don't want to break the mystery in certain areas of Star Wars because it makes the galaxy vast.
Which Fallen Order almost did, right? They had a holocron with all the names.
They did do like a codex of all
the
Jedi.
like Force
Yeah, I was like,
sensitives,
okay,
which is more broad,
just
right?
leave it unturned. Yeah.
Right. Which again, like I love that because that was like that when that got revealed in the first game, like that's mind blowing. And then to have like kind of heavy canon stuff being parsed apart in a video game, it's kind of amazing. Like there was this list and this other Jedi that survived decided to destroy it is just kind of amazing.
Like the Siri Junda versus Darth Vader fight.
Yeah.
Was, like spoilers for Jedi Survivor, but
I mean, and
that was like
I think it's
unforgivable.
well,
I was like,
and
this is
technically
so good,
spoilers for Jedi Fallen Order too.
Right? Yeah, and
Yeah.
all of Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor are going to be spoiled in this conversation.
It's fine. It's
yeah.
years away at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think there's an Andor waiting to be made that's with one of these sort of Jedi survivors, right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Like there's gotta be, because you can do the mystic level can all be in there too, where Andor weaves in and out of sort of mysticism. Luthen gives him a Skykyber at one point. There are moments where it's like it's an extra layer, but I think that layer could be main.
You want to wait for part 3 of this conversation, Grant, and you might want to bring that
out.
out.
I do.
But I love that idea.
Do.
So go for it.
I guess my other thought too is then my brain starts going, so why were Yoda and Ben or Obi-Wan so focused on Luke when there's possibly 13 other Jedi or however many Jedi out there? And then I'm like, well, again, you logic it out. This is the son of the person who's supposed to be the chosen one, and my theory is that Obi-Wan and Yoda in their brains worked out that nope, a prophecy misread. It's Luke is the one, right? And that's why they're focusing all of their.
And you have to narrow your scope,
yeah.
really. You can't be like, I'm gonna like free the galaxy. Like that's not gonna happen, right? So you need to narrow your scope and be like, all right, let's just, if I can help one person, and especially this person was special. My thing is that like I think there can be many more. You know, it was 10,000 before the Clone Wars. Clone Wars whittled it down to a couple thousand, and then the Purge, and then Order 66. You know, which probably knocked out a few more. I mean, I don't know how many battalions were out, maybe 100. You know, and then the Purge, which knocked out hundreds more.
Yeah, any sort of generals.
But like,
and anyone at the temple.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people at the temple.
Except for
so anyone on away missions that weren't battlefronts or
they're all in game.
And
so it's the numbers game. It's that logic game, and I also love when Star Wars makes the galaxy feel large. And you know, the recent comics we read where they're like, there's this whole sector that was having this like disinformation rebellion where they're just like, fake news, the empire, the emperor is still alive, like we're still thriving. You know, like the galaxy is big enough to have things like that happen and have really anything. Like our minds are too limited to even find the borders, I think, of what a galactic sort of scale means. And so I really love stories that makes you feel that scale. And I think you can tell small stories that are just so far away that it actually makes the galaxy feel bigger.
Yeah, if you're ever going to move beyond the Skywalker saga,
right?
You know, you need these things out there, because otherwise you've closed yourself off to Force stuff, right? And I mean, that's one of my pet peeves a little bit, is that like every single series has to have a lightsaber in it. I think Andor was the first one that broke.
Unless you want to say that his
starship
had lightsabers on the side. Luthen wrote starship lightsabers.
Yeah, that's right. I think I remember making that joke of when I'm like, this is how they're going to do lightsabers.
Yeah, I mean, huge asterisks, but and to be honest, I don't really want to see any more Star Wars stories within the like Skywalker saga. I mean, fine, they're going to backfill, you know, before the sequels and after the OT. Like that's just going to happen, but it's like, and those will be great stories and I'll love them. And it is like the most fertile ground and the most nostalgic ground. But like honestly, I'd rather they go other places. But I'm saying the galaxy should be large enough, and it should be made to be, you know, felt that it's large enough to contain these stories and not overlap or retcon other things happening in the galaxy, or be so far fetched it's like, well, why didn't they just kill the Emperor, or why didn't they join the rebellion, or that sort of stuff. So that was my thought.
Right. Okay. That's interesting. So you're saying that the other Jedi character just shouldn't interact with the main canon because that would be distressing.
Yeah.
Like that would be.
Listen, man, what I'm saying is the only limit is our own minds and the minds of the writers. But I bet a deft writer could maybe interact with them and still not take part in the rebellion. Like interact with the rebellion and not take part in the rebellion. You know, or no.
Oh yeah, because it's like, why isn't Ahsoka in like?
Yeah.
Right. So Filoni already did that. You know. And
can I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go.
Can I ask a question? Ben, feel free to squash this if this tramples on anything in part 2 or 3
I'm here
of our
for
conversation.
dialogue, friend.
But like, what is? I was going to ask this question because I haven't had a chance to parse it apart in my brain. What's the first in new canon? First time we learn of a Jedi surviving Order 66. Like that's what's the first one?
In Benny Safdie?
In new canon? So meaning once
is it? It's not. Is it Cal Kestis?
It might be
we
Caleb
know
Dune.
makes it into Caleb Dune. Yeah.
Oh right, with Caleb Dune and Quinlan Voss also confirmed survivor.
Yeah, but that was Obi-Wan, right?
Yeah, I guess that's my more of a to widow it down.
Oh, Dark Disciple.
Oh,
I don't
you know
think
who
it
it
didn't
is?
go past the Purge.
They don't go past.
No. Yeah, let me widow this down to actually make it into original trilogy timeline. And you know what? I think I actually answered. I think I figured it out. You know who it is? It's our boy. No, it's not. No, who is it? Darn it! I was gonna say. Oh, it's our boy Grogu. Right?
Yeah.
I feel like we
because
learned about Caleb Dune
baby
before
boy,
we learned
our
about
child.
Grogu.
But Caleb Dune doesn't make it into OT. Doesn't make it past the OT. Right? Like that's what I mean. Like someone actually making it that's concurrent with Luke. Like, and I think it is Grogu, right? Because we learn very quickly that he's alive and he's 50 years old, which means that he made it through. Which I mean, he's still a child, so it doesn't really affect.
Grogu has to be in the Rey movie, right? Like it's Luke's kept Grogu a secret, and Grogu's out there, and Grogu's like the new sort of like monk on the side of the road for Rey.
He's a snotty teenager at that point.
Yeah.
So I'm looking through.
You're not wrong, probably.
Yeah.
Did we get Fallen Order before Mandalorian? No, we must have got Mandalorian first.
No, but I think, and he's around during similar timeline as they were waiting a long time. I feel like to actually start having people surviving past
Order 66,
or into. Yeah.
Actually, my stats will back it up. You guys weren't ready to play a game.
All
I
right.
feel like this is a perfect introduction to our game. All right. This is how it's going to go. I'm not going to play. You guys are going to play. I'm going to master ceremonies because I have a list right here. I made a list of all of the survivors of Order 66 and the Purge. And you're going to go back and forth. And whoever can't say a name before all of these names that I've written down loses. But if you both get all the names, everyone wins.
Okay.
And we get to have a new election. Okay. Who should we? You have a chance cube there, Grant?
Oh yeah, roll your chance cube. Yeah, there you go.
Okay. I'll get the chance.
Grant has a chance cube. He's been dying to use it. And I think this is the perfect opportunity. Start thinking about your color, Adam, blue or red.
Yeah. Is like close enough, good enough? Like if I give you a description, blue.
Yeah. If we can come up with the name that you're thinking of,
it's blue.
All right, so
Adam goes first. All right, so name one.
Sure. I'm gonna go with what's his name?
Going deep cut first. Okay.
I'll save that one.
Wait, is it
So all right. So I had Caleb Dune written down, but you kind of make an interesting point that he didn't. Well, no, he survived the Purge. He did.
Yeah, he's like
he died, but he died being a Jedi, so he's a Jedi. Okay, Caleb Dune, done. So the 15 names. And so this is all right.
Okay.
Another caveat.
Well, Obi-Wan Kenobi can I just pick like basic.
Yep. Yeah, Obi-Wan, totally. He's one of them.
All right. Well, then I'm gonna do the same thing and say Yoda.
Yoda, top of my list. Yoda's top of my list.
Yeah, let's just get those ones done with.
Okay.
And Jedi turned Sith, probably not.
So I'm not counting people that became Inquisitors.
Anakin Skywalker's most heartfelt a tear just dropped
became.
He's not alive, buddy. Sorry.
Well, I would
pour one out. Being in the afterlife does not count.
No, I'm not going to say that. Let me think here. Does Barriss Offee count?
So I count Barriss Offee because she came back. She came back to the light. Yeah, she was an Inquisitor, but she came back to the light. So that is how I deal with Inquisitors. But if you became an Inquisitor and lived the rest of your life as an Inquisitor, that doesn't count. You're not a Jedi.
Yeah.
Okay,
Ahsoka.
Yep. Ahsoka is there.
Wait, would you pick Ahsoka? That's a great pick. Wait, I am no Jedi, but okay. All right.
I'm gonna let. She is a Jedi. As much as she says that, she is.
she's
the Jedi.
It's what's crazy. Yeah, I was like, she is the Jedi. I'm trying to think here.
Well, there's a lot to pick from here, Grant.
There's a lot. Can I say Quinlan Voss? Because I feel like he's.
Yeah, I counted.
That was I was thinking. Quinlan
I counted
Voss.
Quinlan Voss because of I want it to be true, and his name was.
Oh,
in
and
the
then
path.
I want it to be true. His name was.
He's name checked in Obi-Wan.
Yeah, we see his name.
So
he survived. and he's a Jedi. So
Yeah,
even if he died, like
He's helping the path. That's the whole thing.
he's a Jedi. So Quinlan Vos counts.
Yeah. All right. Oh, Cal Kestis.
Cal Kestis, he's a good one. Low hanging fruit there, and there should be a run on Cal Kestis.
I can't say Siri Junda like connected to that, or does she die by Vader's hand and therefore does not count?
No, Sarah Junda counts.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's post. That's
Thank
post. Yeah, that's
post
Purge,
Purge. It's
yeah.
post all that.
Yeah, Sarah Junda totally counts. That's why I said like there could be a run here.
It's just when Vader takes you out, or like Inquisitors take you out. It's like, oh, did you
survive the
Opie,
Purge?
Yeah. Like, did you survive? Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Right.
like, I don't know. Did it? Like,
I think so. Like the main Purge.
Yeah,
I don't know. There's still
They're
Inquisitors.
like 5 years. 6
That's a good
I
point.
mean,
I'm gonna allow it because I wrote it down.
Okay, thank you.
No, I would. That was something I was thinking about too. All right, so it's Kalen Kel, whatever, the one played by Ahmed Best, who grabs Grogu.
That's a great.
Yeah.
Pick.
All right. So I'm gonna give you another pick because I don't think he survived. Kelleran Beck.
I think you.
No, I'm pretty
Kelleran
sure
Beck?
he died saving Grogu.
Really? I don't think so.
Okay.
No, I will.
Okay.
I will accept it. I will accept the
All
non.
right. I'll tell you what. No, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna add him to my list because if we don't really know, then I'll let it slide. And I have a feeling, right? Like Lucasfilm's gonna let Ahmad Best survive as a Jedi. It just appeared, but you're right. Did we see a body? I don't think we saw a body, right? So okay.
Yeah.
So I'm adding it to the list. We have
I
60.
feel like most of the characters were. Yeah.
I mean, you guys are actually making a pretty compelling argument about like there should be asterisks on the, Fallen Order Survivor series because it's like they kind of didn't survive the Purge.
Yeah.
No, because I think I don't think you can pick certain characters from those games. Like,
Well, let's not name
I
them
included
yet,
them.
because I may name
That's
some of
not
I
them.
included them
but
because that's what
okay.
it's kind of all about. But you're right. Like you're right there.
I don't think we're already in violation of sort of a lot of the tenets of this game.
All right. So I'm gonna
like,
we'll get rid of.
If Vader takes you out, that's technically you didn't make it through.
No, you're right. You're right.
Because I don't know. I just don't know how you categorize it. It's like, but they can have stories in the 5-year period since the fall of the Jedi and the Empire and the rise of the Empire, essentially, and that first. So you can do an extended series.
What do you think, Adam? We'll make this a democracy, and I'm kind of on the fence right now.
Part of me is like, we need a dividing line, right?
Yeah.
And either the dividing line in my book is Order 66 or
Purge.
Basically, and Purge, which is episode 4, right? And my thing is like, I don't know. I'm good either way. I'm kind of like, I think to make it
or Yoda natural causes is a Jedi survivor, like
if you died natural. So I made the rules here, and the whole point of this like thought experiment is that like, would it like how do you feel about another Jedi showing up in the like post Return of the Jedi like Jod is? And so it's like
I love that. Do we know Jod's a Jedi though? I don't know. It's almost like too on the nose that he's a Jedi. You know what I mean?
This was the whole crux of the conversation. Do you want him to be a Jedi? Like, does it make any sense? And like, so I'm not trying to.
We could definitely talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about that more if you want, but it's like, it's. I don't know that there's an answer.
Let's keep going with the list. Let's keep going on like our Jedi characters.
So the rest of the Cal Kestis, yes, because he's not dead. But anyone else that died during the Purge, and so I was going to give you Eno Cordova, but you're right, he died during the Purge, so he kind of died twice. But so you can't say Eno Cordova either. So and Sarah Junda, I gave it to you, but like I guess that doesn't really count either.
Like even the Infala character that Vader fights in the comics, like that guy who's like.
So
is he a survivor? Like he's part of the Purge. It's like the whole.
No, he doesn't count because he died to Vader.
Vader is leading the Purge.
If Vader kills you before, if Vader kills you, you die. You didn't survive the Purge.
Is this ending with me having to choose another character? Because if so,
is it your? There's a lot more.
Yeah, Grogu.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's an easy one.
Because he was being trained in the Jedi Temple before. Yeah.
Okay, Grogu's there. There's still 1, 2.
Well, I can say Luke's.
No. Well, technically, I didn't include Luke or Leia.
We'll take the
Yeah.
cover.
Yeah,
But
because they weren't really Jedi. They were.
They're technically Boken Jedi.
he's a Boken Jedi. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more. So you've got to get 5 more right.
Jedi.
Yeah,
They're out
for
there.
all intents and purposes, they're Jedi.
Does Ceci Tin survive? Oh no, he dies in the
Yeah.
throne room. No,
Sorry,
he
Ceci
dies.
Tin. R.I.P.
No, not Ceci Tin. Eth Koth. Does he survive into the Vader's comics? a
Isn't
little bit?
Vader
Yeah,
kill him
Vader
off?
kills him.
Yeah. Okay, it doesn't count. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, this is the tricky thing.
You're
'cause I'm
thinking too
of, like,
hard
3
about
others
this
that
game.
Vader took out.
I'm thinking way too hard about this.
I think so.
No,
Think
don't do
about.
that to me.
I'll tell you. The comics. There's nothing in the comics, and there's nothing in the novels. It's animated series, and it's feature films, and it's live action.
Okay.
Which I shouldn't be giving you all these things, but I want us to make it
No,
and
you
get a
should.
new
Yeah.
election.
Jedi Survivor. Okay, Jedi Survivor.
Survivor
We're done with
doesn't
Fallen
count
Order.
anymore because it's yeah.
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 Oh my gosh, I'm thinking too hard about this.
Should I put a timer on this thing? I don't know what.
No.
No.
I'm almost there. Almost there.
Because I got nothing
Okay.
either. I think I might be tapped out too. So don't. Yeah.
No. Oh, really? Because
Yeah,
I'm thinking way too hard about this.
could
When I
you-
say these names, you're gonna be like, you're just gonna
Yeah,
punch
they're
yourself
gonna be,
in the
of course.
head.
Can you like read? Can you go back?
No, I'm gonna contest.
Yeah. Do you want me to name all the names we've said? Is that what you want, Adam?
Yeah, name all the names.
Oh, yeah.
that
This
might
is
help
probably
shape
going to just
some of these.
distract you, but Yoda, Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, Caleb Doom, a.k.a. Kanan Jarrus, Cal Kestis, Quinlan Voss, Barriss Offee, Grogu, and Kelleran Beck.
So I have
And Sarah Junda, I think I said.
Yeah, but I'm taking her off the board. Yeah,
taking
that,
them off
that was
the
good
list
enough for
'cause they're
them.
actually-
But
Yeah.
we're her and Eno Cordova.
A Jedi character, or a Jedi?
Jedi character. Hey, light side force
I
user
can't not
with a
put
lightsaber.
Hu Yang on this list. Hu Yang is my guy.
Oh,
Like,
he
I
doesn't
am
have the
biggest
Force,
Hu Yang
bro.
I'm buying everything Hu Yang. He's literally my favorite character ever. Doesn't count.
Sorry, buddy.
Oh my gosh. And
Think
it's-
about shows, live action shows.
Yeah.
all of the animated series that we might have seen most recently.
Asajj Ventress is not a Jedi. Though.
I counted her. Asajj Ventress counts. She's a
Okay, that doesn't. Oh,
all right. Then you gotta count. Then you gotta count mine.
wait.
So,
Wait.
so
What's
I'll-
yours?
No.
So Sabine Wren.
Oh,
Because she was trained. She was
she's
trained by
Mandalorian.
Ahsoka. So
but
I'm
she
like,
didn't serve.
Like, come
she
on,
wasn't a Jedi before the Purge,
Okay.
or
right.
a Force user
all right.
before the Purge. Again, I know this is getting
Okay,
a little
Force user before
squishy,
the
but
Purge.
no,
Yeah.
I didn't
Well,
hear
like,
you
I
say
don't
Sabine
like,
Wren actually, but no,
Sorry, spoilers,
I'm going by
Fallen
my
Order.
list.
There's a character. There's
Yeah.
a character named Terran Malicos in Jedi Fallen Order.
Dark
I don't
Side.
think he should count.
No, he doesn't count because
Yeah,
he's dark
He's
side.
I was gonna say
Jedi
Dagan
dark.
Gera as well, but
It's like a
he's
Asajj. It's like
and
I just don't know if
actually-
his character.
Yeah.
Asajj is good again.
You know, he turned. When did he turn dark?
after like the
What?
Purge like turned him dark. Or
Yeah,
something.
because there's a couple that I included that were Jedi that survived the Purge.
Are we going into Inquisitorius right now? Are
No,
we going
not the
in right now?
Inquisitorius, but there's a couple.
Yeah,
Basically,
like, where's this list?
if you don't wield a,
Like if Darth Maul is on this
Yeah.
list, he's like not a Jedi.
if the last time we saw them, they're not wielding a red lightsaber, they count.
I love that. Okay, not a red light.
Because you're gonna,
Yeah,
all
thank
right.
you. Needs to be a Jedi.
I mean,
Yeah,
they were
so-
Jedi that survived the
oh.
Purge and made their own path.
I don't like if this list goes to a certain place, then I think.
All
It's
right, well,
gonna
it's
go.
it's Adam's turn.
really-
Right?
Oh.
You can you can guess wrong and guess again. Like this isn't like you have one
Yeah,
shot
yeah.
at this. You know, like
I love this. Yeah, it's just, if you come up with
If you
nothing,
come up with
guys
nothing,
can't.
you
It's
lose.
really
So-
dumb.
I'm trying to think. I can't remember if it was Tales of the Jedi or Tales of the Sith. Is there something out of that?
no.
Is it no.
You're
all right.
again, you're trying too
I'm
hard.
thinking, like, is it? Yeah.
And I guess these are well. There's one that's definitely not fungible. It's like absolutely
Yeah.
Jedi before, Jedi after. A couple of these are a little squishy.
Have we haven't said Obi-Wan? Have we said Obi-Wan
Yes,
Kenobi?
yes.
I did. It was the first
Yeah.
one. I
Okay,
said.
all right. I was like, wait a minute. Like, I feel like there's one that's super obvious.
Nothing that
right, you
obvious.
said that first.
But
Yeah, okay.
But I mean, things we've seen recently in the past calendar year, probably.
Yeah.
Maybe,
so
yeah.
I'm trying to think of what we've seen in the last calendar year, which is
That's
not
why I said
helping.
Asajj, because I was connecting.
Yep,
with
Yeah,
Asajj
I'm
is a good
thinking
one.
like-
There's another one from that
Ezra
series.
Bridger doesn't count because he wasn't a
There's another
Force
one?
user.
There's another one from Bad Batch.
What'd you just say? What from what
Bad
series?
Batch.
From Bad Batch?
What? Oh, but not a Jedi though. Like, there's certain things where I'm just.
I mean, maybe we're not thinking of the same person. Because there's a possibility that you will think of people that I didn't think of, and that's part of this exercise.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
and I will certainly
sure.
count them if you're right. But
Yeah.
I'll just add to the list. But
It's still Adam's
Yeah.
go, right?
Yeah, I'm tapping out. I
Yeah.
got nothing. Yeah, I'm out.
Adam, we were
yeah.
so close to greatness.
Wait, can I keep going?
Yeah,
here?
keep
Yeah,
going.
keep
What do you
going.
got?
If you got more, keep
What
going.
about Reva from
Yes.
Obi-Wan? She's essentially a Jedi.
She came
Oh
back.
yeah.
A Padawan
Totally.
learner.
Yep, she comes back.
Yeah,
Yep. Good.
She was definitely in the temple.
Yep.
Yep.
Jedi, she came back.
It's like a traumatic.
Yeah,
stabbing.
and again, it's
I was
like for our thought experiment, like there could be a Reva show, right? Because she survived and she's a Jedi
Yes.
now, and she's
Yeah,
finding
sure.
her way,
Yeah.
and it's a compelling story and all that. Got any more? You got the Bad Batch one? There's another. It was a whole story arc in Bad Batch.
There's a whole other.
Yeah, I mean maybe it was just one episode, but I think it was like 2 or 3 episodes.
Really?
Yeah, I have no. It does not sound familiar at all. I mean, I believe you, but it's amazing how much it just does not at all click.
You,
There's
Adam,
no.
you can't think of this character. You can't think of this character.
No, that's not helping.
What's your
I
What's
know
your
you think it's
favorite
helping.
type of Jedi?
I don't know. What's my favorite?
What's your
type of
favorite
Jedi?
species
Ithorian
of Jedi?
Ithorian.
Ithorian's fun, but no. What's your favorite, Adam? What's your favorite species of Jedi?
What Wookiees?
my-
Wookiee Jedi, but there's not a.
Oh, yeah, we're missing all the Wookiee Jedis here.
There was a Wookiee Jedi that we saw in Clone Wars, and then we saw
Gunji.
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 Don't forget.
Never
Gunji.
forget Gunji.
Oh.
So he's the one that's like
Gunji was in.
yeah,
He was in Bad Batch.
Yeah.
I do not remember this.
There
at
was-
all. And I like
yeah.
that.
He hangs out with
I remember
Omega.
watching
Yeah, and they like party in the trees, and he teaches Omega.
He teaches her how to like battle
Yep.
meditation.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All
Right.
right.
That's what
Yeah,
led
yeah.
into a
Okay,
lot of our
that's
like.
cool.
You were
Nice.
like, oh, so she's definitely a Jedi now.
I hate our conversations from then and other sequel film things we've talked about.
Gunji. I forgot about it. Nice.
I was really.
He's got to show up in like we got robbed in
Yeah. All right, so I would have said I would have
okay,
said
that's it. I
Jadna
don't
Nawood, Skeleton Crew,
Oh, okay, yeah.
but
Guess we're
because I
bringing
I believe it.
Wait, you don't know he's a Jedi,
We don't.
though.
We
So
don't.
these are things where I'm like,
So-
my running theory is that he's not. I'm fine
No,
if he is, but I just
my
yeah.
heart says he's a Jedi, and my head says he's not.
Exactly the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly the same.
Yeah. And then there's one more, and again, this one's kind of fungible too. So Gunji, there's no excuse for it, honestly.
Yeah, no, Gunji's 100%.
But Balin Skull was Jedi that survived, and he
Oh,
never
yes,
wielded a
yes,
red
yes,
lightsaber. He went a little dark, just a wee bit dark, curious.
See, I just don't know if any of the dark characters count.
I don't know about that.
But like,
I mean,
he wasn't a full
he-
Sith.
he died-
He thinks he's a virtuous character. He doesn't really follow the Jedi doctrine.
so does Darth Vader.
But
so does
no,
Emperor
but they are
Palpatine.
distinct
yeah,
Sith,
they went
full dark
orange.
side.
They didn't
I
go
don't
red.
Yeah.
even know that
Yeah.
like how much Balin like pulls on the dark side. Like I would accept it because, he like forged his own path, and it's a compelling story, and it's an orange
I
lightsaber.
honestly think he's like chaotic neutral the way he's
Sure,
written.
great,
And,
not dark
like,
side.
I don't think he's like lawful evil. Like he to me feels like he's chaotic neutral, and he's a sellsword
Yeah.
like he says
Yeah.
he is, and it's.
I
And then I think he
don't
makes
know.
up reason
I think
and
he's
like
lawful-
rationale for
lawful
what he does, where it's not like where it's maybe he's only going after ne'er-do-wells in a sort of Wild West sort of scenario, and he's not as evil as a Sith character like Darth Vader, who's going out in the galaxy and just like murdering
Right.
everyone.
Sure, I agree with that. He's not as evil, but I would still put him in evil, especially if
Oh,
he's
he's chaotic
fighting
evil.
our
Yeah,
our main heroic character multiple times in a show.
Yeah, and killed a lot of innocent people. I mean, but they never
yeah.
Did on that
discussed
ship.
like he's like, oh, the path to the dark side has all the like answers. It's not even. It's like he doesn't even think about that.
Well, so
Which
so
it might
now
be
we're
using.
getting real technical because my question is he's never talked about the light side either.
Yeah.
So like, not to bring up the dreaded question of gray Jedi.
Yeah, I mean,
but if we're gonna say that, like, he's the closest thing I think we've seen.
which
to a
means
gray
he's
Jedi.
dark side, right? But like,
or neither.
yeah, he
but,
thinks
like,
he's above all that. And yeah,
Oh, he's like a nihilist. He's
Yeah.
like the Jedi
Yeah, I
failed
mean,
in their bureaucracy. And like their troubled bureaucracy, they let themselves
And
down.
honestly,
and I remember being a warrior and a general, and my life as a soldier for the Jedi Order. And what did it mean? What did it cost? He's like an Apocalypse Now character. He's like a Colonel Kurtz kind of character.
And I think you're right, Adam. I think that is what Gray Jedi are. And so I want to make a petition. We'll start it here. We're not going to call them Gray Jedi anymore. We're going to call them Orange Jedi. No. Because that's what they use orange lightsabers for. Yeah. It's like sort of people that are like nihilists.
Which isn't like...
They're like, everyone's wrong.
Orange? Was orange?
Yeah.
Orange on the color wheel. Where is that? Is that halfway between yellow and red?
I don't know what the color wheel has to do with this.
Yeah, yellow and red. Right?
Yeah.
Blue and red, I think, would think. Right?
Blue and red, right? That's what I was thinking.
Yellow and red.
Blue and red.
That's
you're right.
Yeah,
it's yellow and red.
Yeah.
What am I talking about?
I would say, and I'm not arguing that, but I just want to make it clear, I'm not arguing because I've already lost. So it's not me arguing.
You came close, Adam. We were really in the last.
I'm okay with where I ended up with this. It wasn't a blowout.
No,
I'm looking up color wheel. Yeah, orange is halfway between yellow and red.
Which makes sense.
Yes.
It's knowledge,
which is yellow is a knowledge
and hate.
Yeah, so I like that. Yeah,
that's where I am right now. I'm pure
fiery
orange right now.
I was gonna say, I'm like, that sounds like me.
Yeah, why can't you buy the Balin Skull Shinhati like double pack lightsaber? So where's that at? Because it's like,
question.
Are those not your favorite characters? After
you guys, you want a Balin Skull lightsaber? I can get you a
Balin
Balin Skull lightsaber. You don't want to know how, but I can. Yes. No, there's
I want Balin Skull robes and the lightsaber. I want the
immediately the like private lightsaber smiths started cranking out those two lightsabers because they're so dope. There's it doesn't take more than a week, and people there's all these hardcore like lightsaber, and they mass produce them. Like you can buy one tomorrow. You want to know about it, but you need a toe. I can get you a toe. I mean a lightsaber.
I love this Connect. I'm making right now.
You want a Balin Skull lightsaber? I can get you a Balin Skull lightsaber. I can give you 5 different producers of Balin Skull lightsabers. Kane and Jarrus.
I'm going down to like the subterranean levels on Coruscant. I'm going to the underworld.
Yeah,
let's go. Those lightsabers are great, and I love this conversation about the orange because it does feel like lava or fire and rage or like, it's a different sort of hate. It's hate. It's bad. It's the dark side, but it's definitely.
But it's tinted with, but it's not full. It's not full, right?
Yeah,
like it's not fully. Yeah, he didn't. I don't. What's fascinating is now I'm like. That leads to the question of like, so how does it turn orange? Is it an orange kyber crystal? Did you like halfway bleed?
Right. Did you find an orange? Yeah. How did you find an orange like lightsaber crystal? I love.
It seems like it was a yellow that bled. So like they were probably Jedi Sentinels.
It bled halfway.
Which
historians
slightly bled. Like they're just kind of weeping. They're slightly.
This is the kind of gold that Filoni can do and give us. And he's like, I'm going orange lightsaber. Like, I'm going to show you, like, I'm going to bring you an orange lightsaber, and we'll backfill later. And I'm bringing you Hu Yang.
I forgot they do take out those people on the ship. They're pretty bad people. I was like,
I mean, I'm with Ben. I think I'm kind of coming around to this chaotic neutral, right? Like they're not.
He's a weird extremist.
But Ben is.
Yeah.
Yes, he is. He is. But Ben, super fun. Okay. I love that game. That was great.
Nice.
Yeah, I was like, because I love the debating of it too, of just like having to argue. Like, what about?
Do you guys want to talk about like? Because I mean, I thought we kind of did it, but if not, like, so like, how do you feel? So that's 14 I've got now total after like adding a couple and deleting a couple. There's been 14 that have survived. Is that enough? Too many? Too few? Like
for like a series?
No, but I mean like,
or just like. Left in the galaxy?
Oh, I guess the story was like Jod Nundawood. Like, so do you want him to be a Jedi or not? Like, I guess we, have kind of covered it, but
I don't care. Like, if he's a Jedi, it's not going to break my. It's not gonna seem weird to me. It's gonna be like fine, and especially if he's like if he seems to be who he is, which is just kind of like, almost reminds me of like Caleb Doom, right? Like, Caleb Doom, when we first meet him, he's technically a Jedi, but he's just out there. Working jobs, trying to survive. Same as Cal Kestis, right? Cal Kestis is out there trying to survive, working shipyards. I'm fine if he's just kind of a scoundrel who happens to be a Jedi, and he just kind of turned his Jedi-ness down, forgot about it, and gets pulled back in when he sees these kids that need help, and suddenly he starts kind of coming back out of it. It's just like, if you're full. My problem is if you're full Jedi through everything, and you didn't do anything, there's a issue there. Are you really a Jedi, right? As opposed to like I kind of like stop being a Jedi for survival purposes and has to be reawakened to be is like to me a more interesting story.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I totally agree with that. And I my goodness, like I almost want to just stay sort of media blackout for the show because I have thoughts about like what this all could be, and it's like Jadna Nawad could be like a kid that was left behind who knows what it's like to be left behind. And saves these kids. You know what I mean? And being left behind, what does that mean? Like, to me, it's like, was he a Padawan whose master left him somewhere?
So I'm now looking up, as I always like to do,
distant outer rim world. Yeah.
So Jude Law
years
is 51, and
I did this math
based on. You did the math. So, like, what's the math? You did the math. What's it lead to?
So he was in his early 20s at the fall of the Republic.
And here's what I'll say is Star Wars likes to subtract about 5 to 10 years off a person's age because they did it they did it with the sequel trilogy, right? They took 5 years off of Luke, Leia, and Han's age when you look at the time between. So if that puts him at 45, that puts him at 14, 15, that makes him
Padawan.
A Padawan.
Okay, you could make him a Padawan,
right?
Yeah, Padawan.
Could be a Padawan, could be a knight, right? So similar to similar to like Cal Kestis in some ways. He might be like Cal Kestis' age,
And seeing the Obi-Wan message and like staying away, like that's just gold waiting there.
I mean, if you give me a flashback of like a de-aged Jude Law hearing Obi-Wan's message, best show ever.
I want
best
that to be my
ever.
ringtone is the like Obi-Wan Kenobi message.
Especially for the next 4 years. That should just be everyone's like outgoing voicemail.
Away from the temple.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
I laugh because otherwise I'll cry.
Yeah, I will cry if that happens. By the way,
I know.
Just guaranteed.
All right, let's
an easy pop.
Yeah, let's do. What do you got?
Oh my god, you guys are gonna call me and leave a message and we'll be like, "I have terrible news to report." I don't know I should have it memorized at this point. I don't. It's on one of those holocrons behind me.
Same.
So the other like side that I didn't think about at all that we can think about, I mean, is Boken Jedi, and I think that's like a loophole, a storytelling loophole. Like you can always tell a Boken Jedi story because it doesn't count, right? You didn't survive the Purge. You were just some rando that they didn't find because Cal Kestis destroyed that holocron with all of their names.
Yeah. So
and I think like that's a cheap
for
way
the Grogu's. Boken Jedi are just people who've like found their way into the Force. But didn't have
formal training,
didn't go through the Jedi traditions, but are like lightsiders, right?
Didn't have formal training and aren't Luke Skywalker or Rey or Leia.
But could it be like a derogatory term? Like it isn't just
Balin's using that. That's a pejorative.
It's like he's just like tagging people with that, and I'm like, that seems kind of like it seems like a malicious sort of comment.
I know, but like he loves Shin, I think, dearly, and he calls Shin a Boken Jedi, but he's like, it's just like,
no, he says you're something more. I think
explicit. So I'm looking it up just to go. Yeah, it says Balin's skull considered his own apprentice Shin Hati to be more than a Jedi, thereby excluding her from the description of Boken.
I mean, so should Shin Hati be on my list?
Whatever. No, I don't know. I mean,
because I think he's lying. She is a Boken Jedi.
TBD.
Like, she didn't train in the temple, so.
I mean, I have a feeling season 2. She's such a popular character. I feel like season 2, which there was some news about Ahsoka season 2 this week, which they basically said they confirmed that's happening, and the writing is assuming that it won't get renewed. So they made everyone very clear they are writing an ending for season 2 that could be continued, but will be a satisfying ending to the series. If they don't
this is like StarWars.com announced this, or is this like another?
Yes, or it was through an interview with. It was an official interview with someone. I can't remember where I saw it, but it seemed realistic. And so that's the thing is like I feel like Shin Hati's going to be redeemed. Yeah. I feel like that's going to be the redemption arc of Ahsoka because she's such a popular character, and also. You feel bad for her, like you feel like in the normal traditional system, she would have been a Jedi.
You know what?
But
I'd love for her is she just escapes and sees all this travesty and like knows the faults of whatever, and maybe glimpses the other side, and then is just released into the wild.
I'm out,
and to like just try and figure it out on her own. I feel like there's a story there that would be compelling, and it's like like what does she see? Who does she meet in the living Force? Like what does she value? Like she.
You don't think the Mortis gods are gonna like inhabit either Balin or her or something?
Very likely. Very
probably.
likely.
I mean, it's a floaty joint, so yeah.
But
Yeah.
maybe, but that's what I'm
Sorry.
saying. Like, or maybe they don't. Maybe they inhabit Ahsoka
Okay.
and Balin, and that's the mother.
Right,
That's the
yeah.
that's the daughter and the son,
Sure.
and she just escapes with her life. And maybe helps Sabine live, and maybe she helps her get home.
I hope that's all done in like the void, like Under the Skin and The Last Jedi. Like
Yes.
I hope like all that stuff is
so-
done like in a very cool way.
Grant, you're getting at what I was just about to say is like, so we seem like Star Wars seems to be doing the thing that like Marvel was doing way back when, which is like they're actually leaning into tonal differences of shows, which was not a thing. Like Skeleton Crew is very tonal. Like Andor, and I feel like they've started to figure out like maybe this is our way to success is like make each show very tonally focused. What if Ahsoka season 2 is just like, yeah, we're leaning into the mystic and trippy.
Let's go.
Right, like
Green
that's what I
Knight,
want.
let's
Yeah,
go.
it's a genius
Full
approach.
mystic.
Yeah, go
exactly.
full Green Knight.
Yeah,
I love
yep,
it.
totally. Yeah.
Yeah, David Lowery's on the Skeleton Crew. I'm like, let's
Yeah.
just
I
bring
can't
him on
wait.
over.
Episode 2, we're gonna see
Ahsoka.
it in less than a week. He's
Yeah,
episode
he's
2,
episode
right?
2.
So he's probably directing the episode where we get their first exposure,
galaxy.
the kids' first exposure to the wider galaxy. And who better to do that?
Yeah.
Like it's gonna look like trippy.
I have to say though, like the Mortis stuff, I think a lot of people view as somewhat over the top mysticism in the Clone Wars series, but I think in live action it could be done in a far richer way. That's like this.
Yeah.
These locations are sacred and astronomical, sort of geometry and all the sort of pools of water and void spaces and portals to other, worlds. Like this could be awesome.
Yeah. I hope they
Like it could be really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it could be wild. They can do some really cool things there if they're tasteful about it.
Like Lord of the Rings
Yeah.
or something. Like just how Peter Jackson is able to vest all this sort of like sacred mysticism into objects and statues and things that are around the characters. I would love to see that sort of treatment.
Yeah. All right. So please.
Wait, I want to go back to Boken Jedi for a second.
Yeah.
So who are we talking about? Like who's a Boken Jedi?
It could be anyone. That's what I'm saying. It's like any
Ezra
Right,
is
but do we-
essentially
Ezra,
under the definition
Luke,
of
technically.
Luke,
yeah. I mean, I guess it's because by technical standards,
Sabine.
there's no Jedi Order, but
Shin
they're
Hati.
both.
Luke.
but they're
He's
all,
just playing by the Grand Master of the
but
Jedi
they're
Order.
all. But like
He's definitely.
But like,
gonna
I would argue that. I mean, again, I'm kind of arguing against what we see in Rebels, but like Ezra is trained by a knighted, right?
Yeah.
He's knighted in his visions, a knighted Jedi. So
Yeah.
is Luke. So 2 knighted Jedis.
Yep.
I mean, maybe Ahsoka, but Ahsoka's never knighted, right?
Well, she's knighted
Oh, does
and
she become
but
full?
abandoned and like whatever. That doesn't count.
No,
you
she's
never
knighted
leave the Jedi
in the
Order.
Yeah. Show.
Yeah, and so Sabine is trained by her.
Okay.
Like maybe Shin Hati is like the only one.
But she's trained by
that's my
Baylan
point. It's
Skoll.
Like I'm not trying to make
Yeah,
an
she's trained
argument.
by Baylan Skoll, and he was a Jedi.
Who is right?
Yeah.
Who is a Jedi? Yeah. So my point is like I don't have a problem with it. I'm just trying to think like I don't think we've actually seen that story,
Yeah.
which isn't that fascinating stories? Like maybe this is Jude Law's characters, like the first one we encounter
Self-taught.
who's self-taught,
Yeah,
right?
He
Like
seems self-taught.
and leads towards the light.
Right.
Leads towards the light. Maybe.
I
don't
think
yeah.
Baylan was using it as a term to describe Jedi trained outside of like Coruscant, outside of the Jedi, like the true Jedi Order, not just like having a single master, because that's the only way to describe like what. Because otherwise, he said Shin Hati was something more, but like he was talking about Ezra and like all the other folks that are really just like Shin Hati that had masters, but moved beyond it. But yeah. So I mean, so really true Boken Jedi, I think, are just like Force sensitives that figure it out.
Which is fascinating too, right? Because we have the 14, and that number's going to grow theoretically.
Technically, it's
as you're telling
it's 13,
stories.
and then Jod Nunwood is like question mark. Maybe not.
But like, how many Boken Jedi are wandering around out there?
Could be hundreds
right? In this
could be
time period
thousands.
that we don't know, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Well, there's also the Benny Safdie character from Obi-Wan in the beginning that they find, and they're like, "Oh,
Wait,
the
Kumail?
Inquisitors." No, no.
When
Tatooine.
Riva ends up on Tatooine.
Benny
Or
Safdie.
Like
is
there's
it
other
Riva?
Jedi who've just like survived.
wow, so Benny
They're
Safdie-
kind of in all of
Yeah,
this.
no, he didn't survive the purge. So
No,
Yeah.
he sure didn't.
I'm not saying
he
it's
gets
not the Purge. I'm
killed
just
on
saying,
the
I
streets
imagine
of Tatooine.
it wasn't just we
Yeah.
always think Obi-Wan was alone on
Yeah.
Tatooine, but there are other like Jedi even on Tatooine. What does that tell you about the galaxy teeming with worlds and probably Jedi who were not around the temple and were not on a battle?
Yeah,
the sieges.
The heartbreaking part was Benny was just like, we've all been looking for you. Like, there's so many people, and they're just like, why aren't you helping us? And it's just like, that led me to believe there could be tons of other Jedi. And he was a Jedi, right? Trained in the thing. So.
The Jedi die because they stick their necks out for people and help people. Like all
that's their weakness.
So it's like that's
especially since like there's a whole underground system to get Jedi into safety means there's a lot more than we got. The fact that there's a path means there's more Jedi.
I thought you were going to say Corran Horn, Adam.
Oh, right. He was on the wall too. I know. I was trying to remember.
Doesn't he become a Jedi?
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Corran Horn would count actually.
Oh man, we need some Corran
Wouldn't
Horn.
that count?
Anyone on that wall counts if they were Jedi. Yeah.
But
I forget their names. It was all written in Arabic, and like we deciphered a few of them. And Corran Horn was one. I
don't think he was on the wall. I think he was an actual kid in the show.
Yeah, I think he was supposed to be that. Yeah, the kid we see. So But he might be a Boken Jedi, right? Because like I don't think he was too young to have been trained by the Jedi. I think he just was force sensitive.
Wait, which one? Was
I think that's
Corran
part of what
Horn?
the path does too. He was like the little kid that was in there that the.
Later in the EU novels, though, doesn't he become a Jedi?
Oh yeah,
yeah. In the old, he does like a very prominent,
prominent Jedi. Yeah, there we go.
But like no, who was he in Obi-Wan? Was what I was wondering.
That's what I'm trying to.
Just a kid trying to get the.
Yeah.
They're in the. they're trying to take a transport, and they're on Jabin.
So they named the character Corran Horn? I thought he was just one of the names scrawled in the wall.
Yeah.
There.
Maybe. I thought he was the kid who's actually his mom's like, his name's Corran Horn. I was like, really?
Oh,
okay.
oh.
Wow.
All right. Okay.
A little heavy-handed there, but okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, do you guys want to?
What about Jason Syndulla? I don't know if he becomes a Jedi.
Yeah, we don't know. I mean, he's definitely got you have to think that Hera's gonna want to get him trained.
He's gonna train Jason. Is Sabine gonna become Jason's? Is that like the far-flung future, like really fun story?
I feel like we could pick a.
Sabine.
Yeah, she could train him in that, and then he'd be the next in that legacy, which is like goes like all the way back to Yoda.
Makes perfect sense. Or Ezra could train him.
Yeah, Ezra could.
What's going on with Ezra? That's so. You want to talk about a Jedi who's interacting with sort of the main canon? Like, what's going on with Ezra? And
that's a big question, right?
Back by like episode 7, like theory crafting, I was like, is Ezra Snoke?
Yeah.
All right. That was always.
How wild would it be if they're like an Ezra Snoke?
That was always my far reach. Yeah.
I was one of those.
It's not too late.
Like, is Ezra Snoke? I was like, I really thought
you guys
fully down. I was fully.
You guys are like, there's no such thing like birds aren't real. That's what like Ezra Snoke or the birds aren't real people to me. It's a joke.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, well, then I got reincarnation theories. It was just out of control. I was out of control. Like Star Wars made me out of control. And then hearing Denis Villeneuve on a podcast recently this week say that he was out of control about Return of the Jedi was very relieving.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, you know what? Everyone's just. Star Wars means a lot to people, you know, and like they have
everyone has a take.
Everyone's an issue.
That was so surprising to me that he was just like, he's like, Return of the Jedi's not my Star Wars, and I was like, what?
Okay,
But I mean, it's funny.
I love
Ewoks. I was like, they never really bothered me. I'm actually like really into the lore of the Ewoks, honestly. Like I don't know why.
No, never bothered me. No.
The more I think about, actually, I'm wearing a Return of the Jedi. Oh no, I'm not. My Return of the Jedi T-shirt was too tight after Thanksgiving, so I took it off. But I love that more and more every day. Like recently, I've just been like, is that a perfect movie? Like I love Return of the Jedi.
It's, I mean, not to talk about like pillar stuff, but it is the weirdest of the original trilogy. It is the weirdest, and I love that.
That sound of the rebellion fleet,
the rebel fleet themes in there. Yeah, let's forget about it. The third act of Return of the Jedi, forget about it. I like, please compare the third act. But
here's why Denis Villeneuve does not appreciate Return of the Jedi, because he's 57.
Okay, yeah.
Which means he was the wrong age to see that when that came out. He was a bitter teenager.
He's an edgelord already.
Which is the same reason I hated the prequel trilogy when I first saw it, because I was a disaffected.
Yes.
I was a disaffected 19-year-old when that came out, so I was.
What was problematic about that?
Primed to be like,
Adam.
I was primed like, I'm better than this movie, and I have fully admitted that. And
There's a jump cut in the Phantom Menace that's egregious, but it's okay.
Yeah.
No, but it's funny because the prequels hit for me perfectly, and then and so I loved them, and then the sequels I have more issue with because but I also accepted that the original trilogy was like just so indelibly iconic compared to the prequels, where it was like the prequels are just felt like this like CGI bloat. But like I love them both. Like I'm not trying to be critical of the prequels.
I love them both.
Like I love them both. And the prequels are my movies, so the ones I grew up with. But it's like
they're the weirdest independent films of all
they're
time.
So weird and it's so crazy. But I did see that the original trilogy was just felt like I don't know the storytelling was just very cohesive and sort of folkloric and just perfect. And I was like, oh, it's just tough to get that formula and to nail that essentially.
George could have used a couple more voices in the room, I think. But I love them. They came out. I was just so stoked for a Star Wars, and I love them. And then I went to a Def Jux concert in New York, and LP started dissing Attack of the Clones on stage, and like everyone's like, yeah, and I'm like, what? I'm like, I loved Attack of the Clones.
Are some of the best Star Wars. They were Star Wars.
I think Attack of the Clones.
He's like, I'm out.
I was in the shower. I was in the shower a couple days ago. This is what I do in the shower. I was re-ranking my Star Wars in my head because I do that a lot. And I think episode 2 was like number 5
creeping
on
up
my Star Wars list. It's really creeping up.
Yeah, the thing with episode 2 to me is that it actually would have made like a better TV series than a movie. Like the concepts in there of like Obi-Wan's investigation, I could take like 10 more episodes of that. If it's like the whole plot and the conspiracy of the Confederacy and the beginning of the Clone Wars, I could do 10 episodes on that. Like there's so much I just wanted to like dig into, but Attack of the Clones is like, again, it's like this pacing sort of like Roadrunner at hyperspeed, just like dashing through all these sweet concepts. And I love it. Like I love it nonetheless. And Petronaki Arena is a little bit weird sometimes, where I'm just like, it just goes here and we just do
Gladiator
this,
in the galaxy far, far away.
And like in terms of like Harryhausen, like that, like just fighting these giant beasts. That
like Jedi killing
weird.
beasts. I was like, Jedi don't kill. Like, Obi-Wan doesn't kill things. Like
he tames them.
Brutal. I mean, I think if there's.
I mean they are having a tougher time with that now. Like obviously George didn't have any second thoughts about killing beasts, and Favreau doesn't give second thoughts about eating beasts. He's just like, oh yeah, eat everything, it's delicious. And then but like there's obviously pushback. It's like, don't kill this little beast, bro. Like I want that thing to live. Like even though it's a giant kaiju bent on like just destruction.
It's like it's sweet. And they take you like the graveyard of the Purgles. It's like, how does your heart feel? It's
bad.
like,
It feels bad.
Okay, but like, remember.
So they go here to die.
Here's the thing.
I agree.
Purgles versus this like insectoid creature killing machine. Okay. I would never argue to kill a whale. Whaling is horrible. Their brains are giant. Don't kill dolphins. I will eat a steak tomorrow. I
know that cows are adorbs, but I love steak. Yeah, we're not devolving into this.
But my point is like there are levels here, right? Of like beasts and like it was self-defense. Like I don't have no problem.
It doesn't even bother me. I think it's just the pace.
No, I know, but I know what you're saying in terms of
Clone Wars and I'm riding in on Attack Patrol.
All right, mark my words. In 2026, we'll change the name of this podcast to Attack of the Bros, and it'll just be like focused on like how does everything relate to Attack of the Clones.
Rebrand number 4.
That's true.
All right. Do you guys want to move on a little bit here?
Let's do it. Yeah.
So I just have one more portion of this, and I wanted to do a little round robin, and because I think I wanted to prove my theory here that there's so many great stories you could still tell with adding so many more Jedi to this list of 13 now. That I think there's just a lot of great stories you can tell in this space. So I wanted, all of us to try and just spitball one. And we've sort of come up with a few. I mean, obviously the path is like super low-hanging fruit. Anyone involved with the path is like, sure, they could just go through the path and have this other like thing. But can I start into like, you guys can keep your wheels turning? I know I only gave you like 2 hours.
Yeah,
please. I did just write this like a half an hour ago after like a bong hit. So
okay, cool.
But yeah, so this, all right, bear with me. So I've got a Dawutan lightsaber smith, right? So he lives on
All right.
Coruscant, he was conscripted into duty during the Clone Wars, like they needed more lightsabers reasons.
Okay.
And during Order 66, he fought his way out because he's a Dawotan lightsaber smith. And if you don't know what a Dawotan is, they're giant and they have horns on their chin, and they're really big and awesome. I just picked it kind of random because we talked about it.
Is this for a series or is this for like a film?
Either.
What is this?
Either. It's a story that
most
novel.
famously,
I love it.
Most famously seen in episode 7 with Wright being stroked.
Zine Natal like walking around.
Yeah,
super hot. Spy.
The perfect weapon.
Yeah, the perfect weapon. Main titular character.
The story.
Yeah,
if you read.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Lightsaber Smith. I'm
okay.
intrigued.
And this you're gonna just like laugh at me at the end of this, but that's fine. All right. So he escapes Coruscant, fights his way out, goes to an outer rim planet where he reconnects with his people. I just did air quotes. Lives and hides from the Empire, but is a Zagirian slaver with ties to an Imperial warlord. Capture his love interest and a couple town elders. He rescues them, but alerts the warlord, and he has to infiltrate the warlord's base, cut off communications, and kill everybody. And pretty much, it's just pretty much every Jason Statham movie that's ever existed. And but
Okay.
with Clone Wars, like think about it, like it's just sort of like, I had to put my lightsabers in the ground because I can't do this anymore. And then it's like, I gotta go save everybody. And it's like,
like John Wick, right?
Yeah, John Wick. Like I can't leave anybody
it's
alive.
Funny because I might pitch something quite similar.
Yeah.
Like
It's really low hanging fruit,
Adam.
but I love those movies.
Okay, so again, I have not thought about this much at all. Even though Ben gave us 2 hours, I've been doing stuff. But off the top of my head, thinking of this list of people, the character I'm kind of most interested in following along is Asajj Ventress. Right. Like that is a wonderful character, and I'm thinking like if we're gonna follow in, she's mostly animation, right? I mean that's pretty much exclusively. Yeah. So let's say if we're gonna do like a next animated show, which I'm thinking about, like she's now fully back, right? She has come back, and my thought is like, I always want a redemption story that actually like goes with the redemption, because in Star Wars we always just have the character's redeemed and dies.
Yeah,
doesn't have to do any of the hard work.
My guy goes on to
like,
try and free slaves. That's his whole thing.
Yeah, and similarly, like I want Asajj Ventress to think back and realize that she, after interacting with the Bad Batch so much, and the guilt starts getting to her of like, I was involved in this war. I was on the wrong side, and I killed so many clones. I killed so many of these people that are not our people, right? And it's basically a wandering. It's your Blind Swordsman. It's your Incredible Hulk. It's your week-to-week series that she's going to find any surviving clones that are out there, and try.
Maybe
to help
hooks
them.
up with Echo and Rex at some point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and just is like starting a network of like trying to like, because we see them in like Obi-Wan, right? We see the clone in Obi-Wan who's down on his luck and destitute on whatever planet that is. Like just goes out there trying to like week to week help.
Help veterans
that are still in the galaxy.
Yeah, I love
I love that.
That's cool. Grant, I know you have a couple of these.
Mine's not even original. It's actually just low-hanging fruit, and it's something that I'm just deeply interested in and want to watch, which is like in the Afra series, I think maybe the second run of Afra, there is like a plot about basically like a force weapon to kill the Emperor. And it's sort of like, can we take out the Emperor with this thing? And I would love to see a sort of like Quinlan Vos show, like a premium prestige TV show, where it's Quinlan Vos. It's kind of like the Jackal or the Manchurian Candidate. It's kind of a political thriller sort of vibe. And the Quinlan Vos character is sort of like your John Wick, who's just stuck in the middle of this story, who's like being, questioned by Imperials, but obviously he's a Jedi. We know in the first scene, like when we meet him, we know he's going to have the upper hand no matter what. And then at the same time, he's trying to make a real difference and take out the Emperor and do something, get really close to the center of Imperial hierarchy and damage it in a huge way. And basically, I could see that as a series.
Yeah,
honestly.
I mean, that's exactly what I'm talking about. That takes a seriously deft hand, but you could do it. It's like something right at the core, core of everything in the Skywalker series, and they could touch it and be sent in a different direction. And maybe he just never makes it all the way up to the top of, the palace. Right?
Well, it has to be finding out how deep the conspiracy goes too. That's part of like political thriller
Yeah.
aspect.
Yeah.
It's like how long has Palpatine been planning this, and then to what level has he been? Has he crafted layers to this plan to deal with me and other people?
Yeah.
You know, and rebellions.
I forgot to put limits on this, and again, this sort of came together the last minute where I was going to say you can't choose any of the 13 that I've already selected.
Oh, wow. Oh, it has to be like a
new character. But I mean, this is too late
right.
to bring this to you guys, and really, you could just reskin either of your people, and
Yeah, I don't think it even needs to be Quinlan Voss. I think
Quinlan Voss could be anyone,
Yeah,
and like Asajj
yeah.
Ventress too. Like, I mean,
I think it just works with Quinlan Voss. But,
yeah. I mean, Asajj has got already a super complex character, but obviously, any of these 13, could make a great story where they're familiar, and that's probably more what Lucasfilm would do. But I'm just saying,
I still think it's take out the Emperor,
Really?
it's do the Obi-Wan Yoda action that they never do, essentially, which is like try to get to the
someone should try
the central hub of the Empire and
I mean,
take its head off.
What's her name? Kira tried. Like, she was the one person
Right,
that took a
Kira
stab at it.
right?
Yeah,
The whole thing was about
Right.
trying to take out-
she had a real thing, and actually, we
And-
forgot her.
Did a
Her
pretty good plan,
witch
yeah.
actually was a Force user, right? She could have been in the list as well, but she also died.
But it's almost like that JFK. It can almost be like JFK, the thing I'm talking about, where it's like this person gets close to taking out Palpatine, but Palpatine can just like side eye you and grin and like probably stop whatever you're trying to
Like
do
your
to
heart.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
I mean,
That's
to kind of
Yeah.
to kind of reskin mine too, like slightly, if you're just gonna do like Jedi X, is just I to still say the same. Like I've just been really intrigued by watching shows that are non-episodic,
Yeah.
right? Like we've gotten so down the hole of episodic television, which I think is like really great television, but we've kind of forgotten the core of storytelling sometimes. I feel like when we watch these things, it's something like, to name like Strange New Worlds, right?
Yeah.
The like I think that has demonstrated why we can we're able to change with tone, play with things, explore different characters. Like, just that remind me of how much I loved Star Trek Next Generation for that reason. Yes, there's some overarching things that happen, but every episode's a different exploration of a different character, and there's these new stories. And just have a Jedi being a Jedi. Like, how lovely would that be to just have a Jedi going from world to world every week, encountering a new problem, coming with a new solution, trying to do something, and like learning more.
Yeah, that's something. I mean, we
and mess around with the tone.
exactly. I mean, that's Zatoichi, right? Like we've talked about that show. It's really hard to get your hands on Zatoichi. It was like episodic, and the director was the main character, which is wild. But a Japanese blind swordsman who was a masseuse, and he just went to a new town and invariably got embroiled in like whatever the politics were, in the living force.
You could call that the Pathfinder or something. Like, you could use some
Yeah,
nomenclature
exactly.
from
Love it.
the High
Yeah.
Republic.
Yeah.
It's like a Jedi that is, carving a path through the galaxy and helping people.
You could set it in any era, because you could even do it post Order 66, right? Just someone who's like under the radar, trying to help people, still trying to be a Jedi, right? Without getting, or like you said, or High Republic, or any anytime.
Listen, I love it. Can I play devil's advocate for a second? If I'm Lucasfilm, I feel like they hold Star Wars to a higher standard, and it has to be more mythology. There has to be a larger purpose to whatever they're doing. And maybe that's it. Maybe it's just like, I'm going to get to the Emperor, and it's just like, but it's just baby step after baby step after baby step, and it's just like getting closer to a thing. And then it's like, it turns out the like Luke Skywalker does it for them, and they're like, oh. I mean, you're 100% right, Ben, but my argument back is that's the problem. Yeah, that could be the problem, right?
That we're dealing with is like, and I'm not saying those shows aren't valid, but we need to allow for different types of
I could make that same
everything has to be
I could make that same argument against my idea, right? It's like, it's a movie that's been made 1,000,000 times, but it's like, not in Star Wars.
No, exactly. And my point is, like, we need a galaxy wide enough where they'll allow us to tell all three of these stories. These are all three really interesting stories that
have existed in Hollywood for 70 years. It's like, well, maybe that is our modern mythology in a certain way.
Yeah,
these are stories that we love to tell.
Yeah. No, I was definitely trying to rip off the vibe of like Hunted or something, where it's like when the hunted becomes the hunter, and it's Quinlan Voss
Yes.
ignites lightsaber.
Yeah,
It's like taking out Inquisitors. It's
Yeah.
like the Jedi striking back. Like it was like, this is
Right,
sick.
like that's what I
Just,
think
Yeah.
a lot of people
It could be-
hoped Obi-Wan was going to be. It's just like he's just trying to have
Yeah.
his quiet life, but he's still a badass. And it's just like he wasn't that. It was like, oh, where'd my powers go? And I hate the Force. And like, yeah.
It works every time. These formulas. I mean, they seem cliche, but they're also just tried and true. Like they work. We love like revenge-matic kind of stories, and revenge-matic with a Jedi.
Yeah, let's go.
Is super interesting. I don't
it'd be
think
amazing.
we've gotten it because a lot of Jedi are just passive, heroic types, and it's fun to see what it's like to maybe see a Jedi who's a little more unhinged, right, or something. That's kind of what more conflict.
It does seem like in the comic book storytelling, they're really trying to go the other way, where it's like a real Jedi doesn't kill anybody, and it's
a real Jedi just like melts their saber down and walks off into the
and it's like that's cool, but like. What if you need
like we're like but pew pew lasers.
Right? But they have a laser sword, and there's bad people in the world, and sometimes they all need to die for a bigger purpose.
I will
This is a
say
science fiction fantasy universe. Like
and like you fall a little.
Yeah,
the dark
which
side,
I think is great with this.
Sorry.
Yeah, and I think there's room for all of it. I don't mind the pacifist turn, and that's not for any of my philosophical beliefs, but it feels like the logical overreaction to the fact that we got pulled into a war, we were forced to be generals, and then all of us got killed was let's not do anything, let's not harm anyone, right? Like it seems like an overreaction, which I appreciate in terms of like it seems illogical, like these people would be like very skittish around any violence after something like that. But I agree, like there got to be some Jedis out there like no I gotta
Force
like
put a lightsaber in my hand for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, I like the pacifist messaging. Like I think that's really important. Like I think kids, younger generations,
as a pacifist myself, I
great.
agree.
But
it also
but at the same time, I'm just like
you're not going to make pacifists that way.
I don't. When you lead the entire Jedi Order into that direction, it doesn't allow sort of new action
100%.
Sequences with Jedi with lightsaber
Cal
twirling
Kestis,
through the air, which I think is what fans want. They want to see a Jedi twirl through the air, not even so much hit someone, like twirl through the air with a Jedi like moving like a sort of like a beam of light through a room. Like, people love that.
Yeah, maybe just disable it. But I mean, you couldn't do the Cal Kestis games where he's a pacifist. Like you can't. He kills them all.
Well, no. Well, I mean, no, you can't. You can't because it's a game. But also, when you think about the game logic, he's a mass murderer.
Seriously,
he has the biggest body count of any Jedi. It's wild. And like you could have fun the way you kill people. But I was gonna say, like, I can't imagine they're gonna do that with the Rey movie, just because like. If you're Star Wars, you know the thing that gets butts in the seats is a extravagant lightsaber fight, right? Like you need to have that. That is a core element of a Star Wars movie, and I feel like you're not going to go the pacifist route, especially too
I'd
much.
like to see Rey kill Hitler, right? Like just like no, that person's bad. They need to be stopped. Stop them. In fact, the series could start that way. And then it gets into
but still not like bring like Mace Windu, like bring the blade up, but don't kill people. You know what I mean? Like
I mean
how he crashes the party at the Petronaki Arena is what I think a Jedi does essentially. It's just try to checkmate you, and it's then your choice what happens at that point. But at least they hold you in a stasis for a second.
Right.
I'm a warrior. I have a blade.
The choice is yours right now.
You give the person a choice.
Yeah.
You give the person a choice. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I do love. There's so many issues with Rise of Skywalker, but I still love the fact that she kills the Emperor through defense.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Like I think that's amazing, and it's not that like I feel like she needs to, because she also wields a lightsaber like a badass and kills people, like. Taking down Praetorian guards left and right, right? Like she's not a pacifist, but I do love that moment. I think it's really kind of powerful. So can I tie something back to our last conversation, because it's just popped in my head? So we're talking about Boken Jedi, and we're mentioning that as kind of like almost a slur. And I was like, wouldn't that be an interesting element if you have like the rivalry of the kids of the people in Rey's academy, like like it's almost like Mudblood if you're going to the Harry Potter universe of just like these Boken Jedi, right? Who were found later in life and didn't have a master.
Well, I mean, I love that first of all, but I think you get. I mean, if they do it right, Ahsoka could have taught Finn, and Ahsoka. Rey could have taught Finn, and Ahsoka could teach other students, and Jod maybe teaches more students, and Grogu is also a teacher, and there's enough that actually could have survived into post Rise of Skywalker. So technically they're not Boken because they are Jedi, new Jedi being taught by old Jedi, and they're keeping some of whatever they're being taught by them, whether their principles have changed or not. There's room for both things to happen, but like you could have a rivalry there.
You know what we did, I just want to go back to the pacifism that we were talking about. I actually, we did it, I think a few podcasts back, theorize about the temple and Rey's new teachings and how
only
she would
in like
the
every
order.
podcast.
Yeah, I think we've talked about it almost every podcast, but I think we talked about the idea of her taking out lightsabers out of the equation, and sort of just training people to use the Force in a sort of like defensive fashion. And I would really like for the Rey movie to actually dig into that further, and basically Rey goes to a temple site with Padawans or something, is confident that she never needs a saber to battle anything because she's mastered the Force at this point. And then in learning something maybe is a darker, more dangerous threat than she thought, she has to bring out the saber at some point. It like basically is like, guess what? The saber is not the throwing over your shoulder. It's actually like the thing you need to like solve this situation.
That'd be wild. Yeah.
And it's like, for me, I'm like, that is actually like fascinating, because then it's like, it's almost like a different take. It's like a return to martial Jedi leadership.
Well, and she could justify or think about it as a fact of realizing that this is the lightsaber is what took out Palpatine.
Right.
Yeah, no matter how you used it. Like, I guess she could have pulled the Yoda, like pulling the lightning into a little ball and throwing it back. But like, I love the fact that she's just
I'm sure she'll have the lightsaber from the beginning. I was just
but I love that. I love the idea of like rediscovering
on the whole thing. You could keep going on.
Which could be something that
what's kind of brilliant about
it could parallel Mangold's movie is all I was going to say, where it's like they could find, they may not be Jedi yet, but they find the first symbiont relationship with a kyber crystal and a lightsaber, and it's like that just makes sense at the beginning.
I mean, I think we've talked about before, just strapping a lightsaber to an actual like metal sword, right? Like just to give it a little extra
like
whatever.
Kyber crystal, like with rawhide straps tied to a bone, and it's like, or a piece of wood, and they're like lightsaber.
Yeah,
is that the end of the movie though? Is someone like
probably
the first lightsaber? Like,
totally.
I would cry.
But Grant, what I like about your idea of them kind of rediscovering the lightsaber or bringing it back in is what it does in a really interesting storytelling way is re-justify the importance of a lightsaber, which I think needs to happen.
Me too.
Because lightsabers are inherently weird when you kind of think about the fact that these space monks have like the ultimate weapon that cuts through anything, and like don't generally come up against Darksiders, right? So we're just using this like ultimate weapon to kill a bunch of non-Force users. It's just it's once you start pulling apart, it starts
to deflect laser bolts.
Exactly, like it's defense, right? And so I think this idea of like, no, we need the quote unquote big guns now because we're dealing with something that our Force powers aren't going to be enough to just. We need this extra. Yeah, I like that. I like it a lot.
Well, it's interesting just because it's like it reinvests a sort of sacredness to the blade and how one uses it, and I think that's what's important, honestly, is how one uses it.
Right.
Well, and you could do this moment where the students feel the connection to a kyber crystal, which is something they haven't felt before, right? Because why would you have kyber crystals then if you're not using them for lightsabers? And like, there does seem something like mystical and like opening of worlds when they commune with their lightsaber. I mean, with their kyber crystal.
I mean, she could do a thing where it's like you can commune with your lightsaber crystal, but you can't build a lightsaber yet, and they're all just like, why? And then she goes on her journey, and then she's like, okay, this is
stuff them in lightsabers now.
This is why
everyone gets a lightsaber. Because like, first of all, why was the order that way initially? Why was it like everyone gets a lightsaber? Like, I have questions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm confused.
Agreed.
Peacekeeping.
Agreed.
What is peacekeeping if you're all just given a weapon?
Right.
I
Given
don't
a-
The first thing they
It's so
do is
weird in the
you're
prequels.
like a toddler. It's like
Yeah.
this is like a spoon, this
Yeah.
is a fork, these are chopsticks, and here's a lightsaber. And you're like, wait, what?
Why? Why aren't you given a shield?
Yeah.
Like the what's her name from the
Yeah.
High Republic? That would be, if
Salandra
you're really
Show.
defense, give him a shield. There you go. Well done.
Weird flex, but okay. Yeah,
I like it.
I mean, hey, a lot of fun ideas coming out here. Got a ton of them. Next week we're going to be talking about Skeleton Crew, so we will see. Maybe we'll find
Yeah.
out next week if he's a
Almost
real
there.
Jedi or not. But I have a feeling it's going to take the whole series to really discover whether Jaw is.
We're not meeting.
We might not
episode
even
one.
see him. Yeah,
Maybe
I don't think we're gonna see him until the end of episode 2.
At the earliest,
At the
yeah.
fastest. At
Yeah.
the earliest. Yeah.
but either
Yeah.
way, new Star Wars. It's going to be super fun.
Yeah.
So
Take us through the holiday
Excited.
season in the cozy time, at least up here in the northern hemisphere of Chandrilla. Yeah,
the Great
the
North.
Great North.
Yeah.
So we'll do it. So next week, can't wait to talk to you. Thanks very much for listening to us this week. Always happy to chat with you here at the bar. Let's do it again next week. Oh,
Cantina Chronicles.